Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I'm not sure exactly which video I'm going to download today. I already have a video I made yesterday afternoon about Jake Paul. Not my usual Jake Paul video. Don't judge it before you see it. I won't say any more about that. But something happened to me. Half of it Monday, half of it Tuesday. And I really want to talk about this while it's still fresh in my mind. I did a video a little while back, about a week ago, I'd say about 8 or 9 days ago, 10 days ago, where I said a guy was walking towards me, and he saw me coming, and he kept smiling, and I moved over, and he moved over, and then I moved over more, and he moved over more. I think the video is something about it being a guy tried to intimidate me. And I also talked about how I almost got run over by a woman driving a car talking on a cell phone at the same intersection. And I actually filmed the intersection in that video. This happened in almost the same exact area, which makes me wonder what is going on with this area of the city. I started wondering too, why is this something that's happening to me more? Or I think this is what it is. I think when something like that, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. When something like this happens to me, and I don't have a YouTube channel or anything, I'm like, wow, that's weird, and I forget about it. But when I have a YouTube channel, something like this happens to me, and I start thinking to myself, well, that was bizarre. How would I explain that to other people? And it starts in my head. It starts turning into a video. Okay, what am I talking about? All right, let me start. This happened Monday morning, and then the rest of it happened Tuesday morning. Monday morning, I was out for my usual bike ride. I'm on my mountain bike. It's a big bike. I have my riding gloves on because with this weather, my hands will slip off. They get sweaty and they slip off. I just, the honest truth, I just think that wearing the gloves is cool. I look cool that way. And I've got my tank top on, my backpack, my usual riding gear. And I have to take there's all summer's construction, so I have to take a detour. And I'm going up a sidewalk. And I see there's an intersection coming. I can't ride on this side anymore, so I usually try to ride with traffic where I'm supposed to. And I cut across the street and up onto the other sidewalk with the traffic coming at me. And I look up ahead, and there's a bike coming down at me. So I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't see him. And he's coming downhill towards me, so I gotta... whenever I see a situation like this, I have no problem with getting out of somebody else's way. I don't play like the macho, you move for me, I'm not going to move, you move, that kind of thing. Especially because I'm riding against traffic, and it appeared to me this guy was already on the sidewalk. And it's an electric bike, and there's a black guy. And it looks like he's wearing like a work uniform, like a mechanic's uniform, a blue shirt, blue pants. And he's coming down towards me. So I was like, whoa. And I go back onto the roadway, and he passes me, and as he's coming, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Usually people will be like, oh, thanks, man, most of the time. And this dude just gives me the total stink eye, just gives me a total like a look of like, who are you and what are you doing here? Kind of, you better get out of my way, and I'm just like, hey, how you doing? And so I just kind of shrugged, and I thought about that for a while. I tried to put myself in his, using empathy, and I couldn't figure it out. I just figure maybe this just is the way of the world in some people's eyes, to try to be intimidating or superior. I don't know. I didn't mean the word superior. Anyway. The next day, I finish my ride. I don't think any more about it. Next day, before I go on my ride, I have to go down and pay my car taxes. This was August 1st, the day that they become delinquent. And I put it off to the very last day because I hate giving up that money. So I wait till, August 1st is the day they go delinquent. So that's the day I go down and pay them. And I go down to the town hall. And I park my bike out in front, and I go to get in line, and I'm walking in, and there's a line of about 6 or 7 people, and the last person in line is a black dude with a work shirt, or blue work shirt, blue pants, and it doesn't occur to me, and I get in line behind him, and I see the, you know, the guy's looking, you know, staring at me, and I'm a tall guy. I've come to accept that people, I usually get stares sometimes because I'm taller than people and I stick out. I don't know why, but I just accepted this. So I didn't really think much more of it, and I got in line behind him. And he looked back at me, and he turned back, and then he turns around and he goes, are you Darren? And I was like, you know, that threw me off. I was like, how, you know, I was like, no, I'm Daryl. And that guy, you know, I was like, how's this guy know me? And I'm like, then all of a sudden I start thinking it's the guy on the bike. And how does he know my name? And he goes, dude, you remember me? And he says, we went to Porter and Chester together. I'm Tony. And it takes me a second to click. Back in 2001, I think it was. I went to a technical school right after I had 2 back surgeries. I got retrained so I could get back into the workforce. And I went to Porter and Chester to, I was a mechanic draftsman back when I was in my 20s. And they retrained me after I had the back surgery. So I went to this technical school, Porter and Chester. And Tony was the dude that sat next to me for the 18 months that I was there. And we would share, you know, we'd talk, we'd go out and break and everything. We became good friends. But I didn't recognize him. And we started talking. And this is back then, after my surgery. I was developing a problem with painkillers. And we kind of started talking about that, but that's not really what this video is about. So I'll make another video talking about that. And he brought it up. He says, you know, you still on the pills or something like that. He's very forward, very point blank. But we were friends. We were tight. So I kind of, you know, when a friend will be upfront and honest with you. And you know, and he asked me, "You still on the pills?" And I was like, "No, man, I've been clean and sober since, you know, October 23rd, 2006." And the feeling, I see a person's face when I tell them that, it's so cool because they're surprised. And they go, wow, man, you know, because they never expect that somebody's actually going to get clean. I love seeing the look on people's face when I tell them that. And then I go like this. I go, dude, you were the guy on the bike that I went by the other day. And he's like, yeah, man. And I was like, what was up with the stink guy? You know, were you? I asked him. I said, did you recognize me, or you know, what was that all about? And he says, dude, he says, I see this big guy, I forgot how he said this. He says, I see this big jacked dude with his kickboxing gloves on, and I forgot what he called my clothes, the biking outfit or something. And I see this guy come up and get right in front of me, and you know, I was getting an attitude. I see, you know, you're a big dude, and I was like, so you judged a book by its cover? Because, like I said, we have this history of busting each other. And he starts laughing. He's like, yeah. It's like, so you prejudged me. You prejudged me. So I started kind of busting him about this, and he starts laughing. He's like, yeah, I kind of did. You know, because the way I look, he expected trouble from me. You know, he didn't recognize me as the 18 months that we sat right next to each other as pretty much best friends during this period. And we laughed about it, you know, and it just made me think about, it goes both ways. You know, it's not just, prejudice doesn't just go one way. So, you know, people have a preconceived notion, you know, judging a book by its cover a lot of times, and a lot of times it's not true. You know, he was totally surprised when he saw, you know, when I got off the road, when I just let him pass, and he expected attitude from me, and I was just like, hey, good morning, and it threw him off. And we kind of laughed about that, and then we went outside and we talked more about my recovery, but that's not what this video is about. I want to make another video kind of talking about that and some other instances where I've where I've seen people from my past, like when I got fired from the truck driving job, and I ran into one of my bosses that actually fired me like 20 years before, and I told him I'm clean and sober, and I'll never forget what he said and his look, and that'll be in another video. All right, so next I have the Jake Paul video, and it's not what you think. I'm not hating on him. I'm actually identifying with him. All right, you guys have a great Wednesday. The Jake Paul video will be up next.